Have you ever wondered why for certain artists it seems like their email list can just get packed full of subscribers and people willing to support them financially? And for other artists, it seems like getting people to open their emails is like pulling teeth. And it just like no matter what you do, you can't get people to engage with your email list. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the 4 things that you need to look at to figure out what's wrong with your email list. And if you figure out these 4 things, you're going to know exactly how to diagnose your email list, your email campaigns, and start to make improvements to become more persuasive in your emails and actually start to generate some revenue for it. So stick around for all 4 of these, okay? The first one that we're going to dive into is the most apparent issue, which is people clicking on your email, right? One of the biggest complaints I have from people is that like, man, no one's clicking my emails. My open rate percentage is really low. So how do we fix this? See, most people, even big artists, they mess up because they don't have any curiosity with their headlines or their subject lines. Because the subject line is that barrier between someone who's about to click on their email and does and who doesn't. The subject line is that doorway. So if we have a bad subject line, we're kind of screwed from the get-go. So there's a few things that we can do to improve our subject lines. The first thing is improve curiosity. We need people to kind of go, what's on the inside of that email? What's inside there? If you give away too much information as to what the email is about, why do they have a reason to click on it? They know what's going to be in the email, and they can make the decision then whether they actually care or not, right? So if you give people the chance to make a decision about you before they've opened the email, they'll make that decision. But if you give them some curiosity so they have to check out the email before they can say yes or no, then we're at least improving our odds that we can get people to check something out. Because if we don't get them to see what's in the email, 100% they're not going to actually buy. But if we can actually get them to open the email, now we have a shot. Now we can have a shot at communicating with them in a way where we can actually persuade and convince them. Well, not convince them necessarily, but show them the value of what we have to offer in a way that they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I want to get that. And so that could be the first issue, is no curiosity. So people know exactly what your email is about and they're deciding before they even open it, nah, I don't want to click on that. Boom, delete. The next issue could be no urgency. So let's say you're doing like a merch sale for a holiday season or something like that. What you want to do is say things like, hey, last chance. Hey, last call. Hey, final warning, right? Things like that. Because now you're actually getting people to like, wait, I have to look at this now. I haven't been looking at these other emails, but apparently there's something cool going on and this is the last chance I have to check it out. You'll notice something when it comes down to like offers that you sell through email list is like you'll have people that buy a lot on the first day and then sales go down the second day, maybe have some sales come up on the third day, fourth day. But on like the last day before the whole offer goes away and the special ends, you'll see a giant rise in sales because people don't want to miss out, right? There's a huge fear of missing out, and creating urgency can help you get people more willing to follow through and check out your email, right? Now, the next problem that you might have with your subject line is personalization. A lot of times people can tell when companies or artists are sending out mass emails. And big bands are really, really guilty of this, where they just send out these mass emails that are very clearly mass emails. And not just in the subject line. This happens inside the email as well, where everything inside the email is from this position of clearly we sent this to everybody. It's like a big ad in a sense. Where as opposed to, I think emails are great for that personal touch. Okay, think about this for a second. Email, it's electronic mail. Well, think about, for some of you that remember, what it's like to get a piece of mail that you want, right? You want it to be personalized. If it's just some mass piece of mail that everyone in the neighborhood got, you're probably going to throw it in the trash as soon as you see it. But if it looks like it's directed specifically for you, you're more likely to open it. And if it says, Dear John Smith, and you're John Smith, like, oh, this is directed to me. So personalization is a big thing when it comes down to getting people to feel like this is actually something worth checking out. So in your subject line, be like, John, inside here's your free gift. Hey, John, check this out. It's for you. Hey, John, did you know I did this for you? Having the first name in your subject lines can be a very powerful way to get people to check out your emails because they know it's directed at them. And just make sure that you keep that theme consistent whenever you go to type out the email, that it seems personalized and doesn't just seem like some big mass email. Now, the final thing that you may be having an issue with your subject line is segmentation of your audience. So for example, if I have a show in Texas, right? But I have email subscribers all over the country. If I put out a subject line that says, show in Texas coming soon, or something like that, that's going to be irrelevant for a good chunk of my audience. It's only relevant for the people who live in Texas. So my open rate is going to be really low. So how can I improve my open rate there? I can target just specifically the fans that I have and the subscribers that I have in Texas. So that way, only people in Texas are getting this subject line that says, hey, a show in Texas coming near you. Now that's more relevant to the actual person you're targeting, and you've helped improve your open rate because you're targeting people that are more likely to be accepting to that, as opposed to someone in New Jersey who could care less about a show you have going on in Texas, right? So that is the first issue a lot of people have with their email list, is that their open rates are not where they need to be, and hopefully those strategies will help you improve your open rate and know when to diagnose where some issues are. Okay, the second thing that we need to understand is our click-through ratio. Okay, we got people to click and open the email. Now from this position, how can we get people to click the links that are in the email? Well, here's the thing. The biggest issue is two things. It's the copy, which just means the words that we have in there, and the design. So if our design is real clunky, it's not optimized for mobile, it's not going to be very good, right? It's going to be very easy for people to be like, what the heck is going on? Delete or swipe. I don't want anything to do with this. But if you have a nice, very mobile-friendly format that you've created, it's going to be a lot easier. Now, where the biggest issue I find is not really in the design, but it's more in the words. It's in the copy. So a lot of times there's weak call to actions. The call to actions are just like, yeah, and if you want, if it's something that you're possibly interested in, you can check out this thing if you go to our website. It's really cool. As opposed to like, hey, get your free MP3 download now. Click here. Right? That's telling you, here's what you get. Click here. And that's another big problem that people have, is they're not like communicating the value of what they have to offer very clearly, right? They're going long-winded about it. They're telling stories about things that maybe don't really tie into, because guess what? I'm a big fan of telling stories, but I want them to be useful in the sense they help us set up what we're trying to talk about, right? So when it comes to your email list, make sure that you're uncovering the value of what you have to offer in a very clear and concise manner. You're not saying, yeah, if you want to get this possible, like a lot of language that's uncertain, you just want direct, clearly communicated language. That's a big thing. You don't have to have huge, long emails with big copy in it. You can just have it. You can sometimes have the most effective emails are like 10 sentences, and that's it, right? That's the entire email. And those sentences are like 7 to 9 words. It's not a huge email by any stretch of the imagination. And sometimes that can be the most effective email based on what you're trying to communicate. So one of the big things is make sure that the language that you're using is very clear and it's commandive in the sense that you're drawing call to actions. Now, you don't want to overwhelm them with links. If you're going to have a lot of links on an email, you're going to want to be sort of subtle about it. For example, you may have it to where one phrase is turned into a link, and then a few sentences down, you actually have a full link that says click here to get the thing, and then maybe underneath that is an image that is clickable with the same link, and then underneath that is more copy, and then there's a PS. You can click here to get it, maybe throw some urgency and scarcity in the postscript, and there you go, right? Like you've got links throughout the email, but it's not like click here to download the thing, couple lines, click here to download the thing, couple lines, click here to... You don't want to do it like that. You want to make it to where it's like, yeah, and if you want this, you can click here. And the only thing that's linked is the word here, right? Very subtle. That's a way that you can add lots of links without overwhelming them in links and make them just be like, oh, I don't want anything to do with this. There's too many links. They're trying too hard to get me to click this. as opposed to just communicating the value. And when it makes sense, when you've communicated a piece of value, if the next logical thing for them to do is take action, then drop a link somehow, right? So those are some different ways you can do it. You can have an image with a button underneath it. There's different ways you can drive links, but don't just list out the same link over and over and over again. That's going to repel people away. So those are some of the main issues. Really, if you want to get good at email copywriting, then study copywriting, generally speaking. There's a guy named John Carlton. He's a legend in this. There's Gary Halbert, Dan Kennedy. Lots of great copywriters that have learned skills about how to be persuasive in print. And to me, studying them has really helped me create emails that get people to click and understand and get the value communicated very simply, right? So copywriting is a skill that takes a little bit, so be patient with yourself, but just keep trying, keep experimenting, and you'll learn and figure out what works with your audience and what doesn't, okay? So don't be afraid to send out emails and try new things. The next thing we need to take a look at is your conversion rate. So you've got people to open the email, they've clicked the links in the email, now they're at your checkout page, your landing page, whatever. But what if they're not buying? What is the issue there? Well, the issue is most likely the offer. Gary Halbert, legendary direct response marketer and copywriter, once said the first thing that you should test in any business is not the headline, it's the offer. Because the offer ultimately needs to speak to what your fans really want. And this is why I got in a lot of trouble in my video where I talked about how music isn't the core product anymore, is that I've seen with my clients when they create offers that are centered around music as the core product. For example, hey, if you buy this CD, I'll give you some free downloads of some videos and all this kind of other stuff. That will not sell as well as, hey, I'll give you a hat with digital downloads of all these kind of stuff. That will sell better than the CD will. That's just how the market has moved for that particular client, right? So what you need to look at is, what is something my fans would genuinely want to buy? Not something I think would be cool to sell them. What is something they genuinely find valuable to buy? And how do I create an offer that speaks to them? And that's a big part of it too, is if they land on the landing page and your messaging is off, like how you're communicating, that could throw them off as well, right? So you need to make sure that it's a nice smooth transition from subject line to email copy to landing page or checkout page, right? Very smooth, direct line process where everything makes sense and the messaging is there at every point. And if your landing page is clunky and it's not, maybe the form is way at the bottom and you have to make them scroll through all this stuff and there's no way to jump through it, yeah, people are not going to really enjoy that very much. And they're probably not going to skip through to find the order form and fill it out and actually get the offer. If you don't have any social proof, meaning you don't have anybody that's ever said oh my gosh, I love these people's products, or even just a video of people talking about how much they love, your music and they may be having to wear the product. That's another great way to get social proof. And then another thing is having too many steps. If people go to your landing page and they have to fill out one form and it takes them to the next page, and then they fill out another thing, but they still haven't bought it yet, and it takes them to the next place. It's please make this simple for them. Make it to where it's a 2-step order form on one page, and once they fill it out, they've got the product, right? And if there's some upsells, that's a different story, but the idea is they can get the product purchased on one page very quickly, very easily, and it's easily communicated how they do that right now. You know what I'm saying? That's a big thing where I notice a lot of people on their landing pages fall short. But I'll tell you what will cure most of all that is just having a great offer. So if your offer, you're getting people onto the landing page, but they're not buying, you have to take a hard look at yourself and say, okay, how can I change this offer to make it more persuasive? How can I make it to where my fans would actually want to do this? Hell, even if you have to hold a survey and say, what kind of products would you like to see me sell? What kind of things would you like branded by me? And you'll get a survey back from your fans that tell you basically exactly what they want to buy. Give them that. Don't try to sell what you want to sell to them. Sell to them what they have demonstrated to you they are wanting and willing to buy. Okay, that will help you create a better offer because you're listening to your fans, and it's a very customer-centric, fan-centric approach to business, as opposed to, I'm the artist, I determine what's cool, and you're going to buy it. That kind of thing. Now, I said there was 4 possible pillars. We've only done 3 so far: open rate, click-through rate, and conversion rate. What's the 4th and final pillar to help us improve our email list? Well, that would be volume. What does that mean? What I mean is, let's say you've got a great open rate. You got like a 45% open rate. Let's say your click-through ratio is good. You got like 10% click-through rate or more. Let's say you got a good conversion rate. It's like 5 to 10%. But you're still not making a good amount of money from your email list. What's the problem? The problem here is not your numbers on that side. Your problem is the number of people you have in your list. So you need to grow the volume of your list. So let's say that you do all your math and it turns out for every 100 people that you have in your email list, you'll make $50. So that means for every 200 people you have in your list, you'll make $100. And if you just keep going on and on and on and on, you'll figure out at what volume point you need to reach because you've done the math of, okay, X amount of people come in equates to Y amount of dollars. And now I need to know if I want to get to this new amount of dollars, I have to increase how many people are in my list. So maybe with the open rate being really good and the click-through ratio and the conversion rate and everything being good, but you only have 100 people in your list, maybe the next goal is, how do I get 200 people, 500 people, 1,000 people into my list? And from that point, now I could start to grow because let's say you have a 10% or like a $1, profit margin. For every one email subscriber, you make $1. You have 100 people in there, you make $100. Well, if you need more than $100, let's say you need $1,000. Well, that means I need 1,000 people in my list, right? So it gives you a metric to strive for. Now you may be asking, Dax, how do I grow my email list? How do I grow people into my list? That is going to have to be a video for tomorrow or for whenever I post it again, because this is a huge expansive topic. And in the next video that I create, I'm going to make it about this subject, and I'm going to give you 7 or more ways that you can take people from social media, from your Spotify, from wherever, turn them into email list subscribers so that maybe you can go from not having anybody in your email list to getting your first 100 people, getting your first 1,000 people into your email list. So if you found today in this video very valuable, make sure to hit the subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell, all that kind of good stuff. And make sure you subscribe for the video that's coming out soon where I talk about strategies on how to get more people into your email list. Because if your numbers are looking good and you've used this video to help diagnose your email list numbers and everything's looking good now, but you're still not seeing revenue, well, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to grow that. So make sure you subscribe so that you check that video out. Also, we have an application if you want some one-on-one help setting up your email list. The link is in the description. If that's something you're interested in, you can check it out. Otherwise, I will see you guys on another video inside of Musicians Ignite.